If you're new to my channel, I made a video highlighting 10 brutal NASCAR crashes, and it was highly requested that I make a follow-up video. If you haven't seen that first one, I'll link it in the description below so you could check that one out if you enjoy this video. These 10 wrecks are in no particular order and do not include any fatalities, and this video is just a mix of wrecks that didn't make it into the first one and ones that you guys suggested in the comments that you felt should have been in the first one. So with that being said, let's get right into number 10. The 2012 Aaron's 312 at Talladega Superspeedway saw a 16-car pileup during a green-white checkered finish at the end of the race. But one driver in particular, Eric McClure, smashed the inside wall at an unbelievably high rate of speed and one of the most vicious impacts that it almost doesn't even look real.
Oh, trouble, Harvick's around!
Oh, got spun on the backside by the 43.
How many's it going to collect?
Hold the brake.
Oh, what a vicious crash. Eric McClure.
The race was red flagged immediately, and McClure needed some help getting extracted from his car. He ended up getting airlifted to the University of Alabama Hospital in Birmingham for further evaluation. He would end up staying in the hospital for 2 nights, as he did end up suffering a concussion and some internal bruising due to result of this impact. Eric would miss the next 4 races before finally returning to the race at Road America, where he was cleared by NASCAR to return to racing.
So it looked like a net had made a move to try to go up the middle.
Yeah, it looked like he was getting a push, and he was going to try to make this happen. That hole
Closed up.
As you can see, as Kyle Busch went over, Brad Keselowski tried to go over.
That was Joey Logano that was behind the net.
Yeah, it's like I said, everybody's trying to go to the front, and those holes close up so quickly. You can see the safer barrier deflect tremendously when Eric McClure hit it. Thank God it was there.
Yes.
You can see just past this, there is no safer barrier.
The 2000 Lysol 200 at Watkins Glen International in the NASCAR Busch Series would see one of the greatest of all time have one of the most spectacular accidents you could possibly have at a road course. Jimmy Johnson lost his brakes going into turn number 1 and would smash into the wall head on.
We're back at Watkins Glen, where there has been a violent contact with the turn wall Armco. That is Jimmy Johnson's Alltel Chevrolet, our 3rd caution of the day. Take a look and see what happened.
Well, coming to turn 1, don't forget, he had just stopped. Watch this car move right here. Something breaks on that car. He just clears the track.
Oh. And huge contact with the Armco. And watch as Jimmy climbs out of the car and says, yeah, guys, I'm okay. 24-year-old Lion from Mooresville now, formerly from California, and he's, boy, that's amazing that he is not injured. Speaks a lot of the integrity of the cockpit.
Thankfully, Jimmy was uninjured, besides some minor soreness, obviously after an accident like that, and he famously stood on the roof of the car as if he won the race, which is absolutely an iconic NASCAR moment, and could have been Jimmy's only claim to fame if he didn't become one of the greatest of all time. We are heading back to Talladega for this one in the 1993 Winston 500. Coming to the checkered flag, Rusty Wallace would put a block on Dale Earnhardt, and the two would make contact, sending Rusty into a spin. The air would get under the back of Rusty's car, and he would go for, unfortunately, his 2nd wild ride of the 1993 season.
They come through the tri-oval, checkered is waving, Ernie Irvan wins, and Rusty spins and gets airborne and flips wildly right at the start-finish line, very reminiscent of his accident at Daytona.
Oh, man. That is too bad. Come on, brother. Let's see.
What a way.
Yeah, he's moving. I see him moving around in the car. I saw it there. We see his head moving around.
Yes, we do.
Rusty would unfortunately break his wrist and suffer a concussion due to this accident, and Dale Earnhardt would come back around to check on him to make sure he was okay. Rusty was also credited with a 6th place finish. But despite his injuries, Rusty Wallace would not miss any races. This wreck was also one of the last straws for NASCAR, as they were tired of cars getting air under them and flipping over at the super speedways. And in the 1994 season, roof flaps would be installed on these cars for the first time, and they've been mandatory ever since.
Here is what happened.
Okay, there's Rusty and Dale Jarrett running side by side. Earnhardt comes down on the inside trying to draft Rusty and go right out of the picture, and it looks, there he is. Earnhardt right up on the back bumper of Rusty, and he does touch him. And around he goes, and that's one reason that Dale Earnhardt went down there.
That's why he was so concerned, because he touched Rusty Wallace to start this situation, it looks like.
And the car overturns about 6 or 7 times, pirouetting on its nose, end over end, side over side, comes to a rest on its wheels between the start-finish line and turn 1. He will be credited with 6th finishing position. Here is another angle.
Here they come down through there, Jarrett and Rusty Wallace side by side. Dale trying to get down on the inside, trying to go down. And looks like he just touched Rusty, and the car, just like Daytona, started flying. It goes up in the air. I thought maybe it was going to do like Jimmy Spencer did last year and come back on its wheels, but it didn't. It caught. And here it goes again.
There is a huge cheer going up from the grandstand just opposite of where Rusty's car has come to a rest, and we assume that the cheers are because he is out of the car, or at least they can see that he has received no serious injury.
The 1996 Brickyard 400 had a wreck that you might have forgot about, but was pretty damn brutal, as Kyle Petty, who was running in 2nd place, cut his right front tire. He hit the outside wall before ricocheting it back across the track, taking out Sterling Marlin, in which his throttle then hung, and he would smash into the inside wall at a vicious angle, and his car literally being pancaked on both sides. I can't even recall seeing another car that looked like this after a wreck.
Wow, I mean, that was big.
Let's take a look from our turn 1 camera as to what happened as Petty was coming out of corner number 4.
Looked like exactly the same thing as Jeff Gordon, just lost the air in the right front tire. And Sterling Marlin had no place to go. And look at Mark Martin. How he gets by is beyond me. But now Kyle's car, the accelerator, I think, is hung. He has no brakes. And bam, into the inside wall almost head on.
And from another angle on our camera from the tower terrace, the car just shoots straight to the wall.
You guys, I agree with you. That looked like something went down like a tire, and I wonder if that's coming from just all the stuff we're seeing, all the grass. If it's pulling up any gravel off this track, that they're having a tire problem with punctures.
Kyle Petty, the 42 car. The car just all of a sudden goes straight like the right front tire lost air, slams the outside wall, and then I think he gets knocked out there. Sterling Marlin comes along, hits him again because the car is awfully fast now, so Kyle is not hitting the brakes. He's not slowing the car down. The car is going on its own, and it looks like the throttle's on, because it goes to that wall with so much force. You would have thought that the first lick would have stopped the car, but he still had a tremendous amount of force when he hit the second time.
From another angle now, the car just does not turn. At the apex of turn number 4, the car continues straight. That's Johnny Benson, the leader of the race, ahead. And right there, the car just does not turn. And Petty at this point is along for the ride.
He's a rider.
And he's locked up, but look, he gets hit here. Now it'll turn him back right. Gary, he goes in here and takes a pretty good lick on this next one. Watch here, he's going to go up, hits the wall again, and boy, turns it around. Mark Martin just gets through, and then like you say, Benny, he doesn't slow down at all for that inside wall.
Kyle was transported to the local hospital for further evaluation, where he was complaining about pain to his left knee and chest, as well as his entire right side. But apparently Kyle was awake and alert the whole entire time and showed no evidence of having a concussion. Kyle would race the next race at Watkins Glen, where he would come home with a 26th place finish. However, during that week after Watkins Glen, he noticed that his injuries weren't really feeling better, so he returned to the doctor, and that's when Kyle found out that he had 4 broken ribs on his right side and 1 cracked one on his left side, a bruised right shoulder blade, right lung problems, and bruising throughout his abdominal area. It was then where he took doctor's advice to sit out, and he would miss 2 races following that race at Watkins Glen. The 2011 Hell of a Good Sour Cream Dips at the Glen saw a wreck on the last lap that definitely classifies as brutal. As after contact with David Reagan, David Ruderman hit the wall at a weird angle that catapulted his car up in the air and across the racetrack.
Oh, big crash in turn number 2, David Ruderman.
Oh, goodness. 6 gets, it's like, oh my gosh.
Goodness gracious.
Wow. Like Boris said, got into the 6 car. David Reagan. Oh, my goodness. That's a hard lick for David Reagan, but this, oh my goodness.
Ron Fellows also into the wall in that.
David Reagan would get the worst of this one with a dislocated ankle due to this wreck, but thankfully and surprisingly, David Ruderman was pretty much unharmed during that vicious impact. Similar to Michael Waltrip's crash at Bristol in the first one, Mike Harmon had a wreck that was equally as brutal. As where he hit the wall was the gate to get to the outside of the track. The gate immediately opened. He hit the end of the wall, splitting the car open like a can opener. You can actually see Mike, and then his car gets struck by Johnny Sauter. Thankfully, it didn't hit the part where Mike Harmon was sitting in, and despite the car pretty much can opening around him, he just got out completely unharmed. The ending of the 2009 Aaron's 499 at Talladega saw arguably one of the most famous NASCAR crashes of all time, and that's Carl Edwards getting turned by Brad Keselowski in the tri-oval, coming to the start-finish line to take the checkered flag. Carl's car gets airborne into the catch fence, and unfortunately he comes up just short of making it to the line.
I don't know. I don't think he can step out until he waits till the last second and picks up.
He goes to the outside. Is Edwards going?
Oh, no!
He turns him.
No! No!
Oh, and that destroyed the front end of Newman's car.
No!
Edwards will not make it to the flag.
Oh,
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Carl did what he wanted to do. He stayed at the back all day long. He played it smart. Had this race possibly won. Not now. Not sure where Carl's going. Maybe he thinks if he runs across the start-finish line, it'll count.
That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
He's like a you know how he is. He's an athlete, a marathon runner. I want to finish the race.
And he did,
yes,
to
he
a
did.
standing ovation from the crowd. Shades of Ricky Bobby.
Take a look, Mike. Carl Edwards, he opened it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this is a hard lick right into the fence. I mean, that car, that looked like Bobby Allison did here in 1987.
The catch fence did its job, and the car did its job.
Thank goodness we have the new, stronger, much stronger, safer catch fences.
And Newman took a hard hit from Edwards as well. Look at just a car with the room left on the bottom.
What happened here is the 09 looked to the outside. Carl went up a little bit to block him, and 09 went right back to the bottom and clipped him.
You know, the move looked a lot like the one that Brian Vickers put on Jimmy Johnson when Vickers won.
Wow.
But what a hit.
Wow. That is 1987 all over again. Oh, my gosh. And did you see that? I believe it was Biffle that almost T-boned the 99. But watch. The 09's going to look to the outside where he already has.
Carl went up to block him a little bit. Now he's going to come down to try to block him again, and you get one shot at it, but you don't get two. Watch this.
What a lick.
Oh my gosh.
Unbelievable.
You know, and looking very carefully at the catch fencing that held, and I did not see any debris go into the grandstand, and that certainly is
unbelievable.
It's very gratifying to see. Well,
I knew it was going to be wild. I didn't know it was going to be this wild.
Run, here's a 3 back from him.
This is from Carl's onboard
Looking
camera.
inside, 09.
But Darrell, I want to ask you.
Thankfully, Carl Edwards and Ryan Newman were uninjured in this accident, as this was kind of a product of the yellow line rule and what happened the year previously when Regan Smith got disqualified for going down below the yellow line when he was getting blocked by Tony Stewart. Brad Keselowski simply refused to let that happen to him, and this was kind of the end result of that. And I will quickly mention that although the drivers were uninjured in this accident, unfortunately 8 fans in the stands were injured, including one lady with a broken jaw that had to be airlifted to the local hospital. We are returning to Watkins Glen once again, but this time for the 2009 Hell of a Good Sour Cream Dips at the Glen, when a big crash took place off of turn number 9. Casey Kane got loose into Sam Hornish Jr., putting him off the track into the wall, which catapulted him right across the track into the path of Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton, resulting in some pretty brutal impacts for Jeff Gordon and Jeff Burton, as well as Sam Hornish Jr., who was pretty much the ping pong ball in this whole thing.
Here's Sam Hornish racing with Casey Kane as they come out of the corner. Oh,
looks like Casey got loose and tried to correct it, got into Sam, and goodness gracious, what
just
a lick.
as we saw the other day. Wow, huge lick by Jeff Gordon. It's good to see him get out of his car.
And Sam Hornish. Both of those cars hit extremely hard on that second impact.
Gordon head on into the Armco barrier.
We saw this happen with Jason Leffler's car the other day, get thrown back, and Jeff Gordon wide open, nowhere to go.
It's good to see those guys get out of the car.
Joey Logano just missing the inside of the 77 car when he came by.
Right along with Jeff Gordon here. Be ready, folks. This is hard. Ooh. Man, just no time to do anything.
And there's no safer barrier there. That's just an Armco barrier, steel barrier. Fortunately, Jeff able to get the helmet off and walk away.
Although Jeff Gordon did tweak his back a little bit from this accident, all drivers were unharmed. The opening race for the 2022 NASCAR Xfinity Series, Beef It's What's for Dinner 300 at Daytona, saw Myatt Snider have a brutal impact into the catch fence on the last lap of the race.
2 and 3 wide behind him. Crossover, that's comes. Austin Hill in the 21. Big crash, up and over. Caution is out. That's Myatt Snider. First start in his rookie season. It's Austin Hill who gets it done at Daytona, and here's what happened behind him.
That's just a bad scenario. Once you get turned around backwards, if he doesn't get hit in the front end, it probably doesn't get airborne, but it's just you got that other car wedging underneath the front to get the lift there. But it's great to see, like Chad talked about, the safety innovations of these cars. You know, to see Myatt just walk right out, that's a great sign.
And I would be anxious to see how close it was at the time of caution, because look right here, it looks like the 16's out front. Whew, it had to be really close.
Yep. The caution wasn't out at that point when they left our screen, so he was clearly ahead by the time he left the bottom of your monitors on television. But unfortunately, Anthony Alfredo getting into the back of the 31 and creating that issue.
Wow. I mean, look at that car.
And look at the grass that's flying in front of him.
Where is the engine?
Oh, wow. The engine's gone. I mean, this kind of like a Michael Waltrip wreck that we saw at Bristol, where it's just, or the Jeffrey Bodine, right?
Kyle Larson front straightaway here at Daytona years ago.
Thankfully, Myatt Snyder was uninjured in this accident, but once those cars get up into that catch fence, it's like hitting a cheese grater as the car just drops speed at an extreme rate, ripped the back off the car, ripped the front of the car right off. The engine came completely out. It was basically just a chassis sliding to a stop. It was definitely a brutal accident. And finally, our #1 video on the list, the most requested one in the first video, Jeffrey Bodine at Daytona in the Truck Series in the year 2000.
Jeff's staying up high going in the corner. He's not following the truck in front of him. Don't know what's going on there.
Whoa! Oh, look out! We got trouble. This is going to hurt. Uh-oh. Oh, my.
Yep.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Parsons? About the 6th or 7th place there. There's Jeffrey Bodine, bam, in the outside retaining wall, and watch as he tumbles down the straightaway. Now, again, right, another truck is going to come along and hit him. Here, watch and listen. Jeffrey Bodine's on board. Listen. One more angle. Lyndon Amick, the green car, goes down. He and Kurt Busch go up, and they touch the 46 of Rob Morgan, and in the outside retaining wall goes Jeffrey Bodine.
The truck comes totally apart. You'll see the motor flying off there on the left upper portion of your screen. It ended up about 300 feet further down the track. One more view. Look how high he got.
I've been around this sport since 1960, and I've never seen a crash that a vehicle was torn up that bad. There's Jeffrey Bodine after he was taken out of the truck trying to get the oxygen mask off as he's taken to the ambulance.
Benny, just a terrible crash, but all of the safety equipment mandated by NASCAR, the rollover cage, the fireproof equipment, and the catch fence did its job.
It is honestly truly a miracle and unbelievable that Jeff Bodine survived this crash, as it looked like all hope was lost the way that truck just disintegrated into basically nothing but the roll cage left. Jeffrey Bodine suffered fractures in his right wrist, his right cheekbone, his right ankle. He injured a vertebrae in his back, and he suffered a concussion. Jimmy Kitchens, who hit him when he was rolling down the track, was also sent to the hospital for precaution, but he suffered no serious injuries. And when Jeffrey Bodine's truck got into the catch fence, 9 spectators were injured. And to make things even more incredible, Jeffrey Bodine, who was racing full-time in the Winston Cup season that year, only missed 10 races while trying to recover from this crash. He returned May 6 at the Richmond International Raceway, where he would finish a respectable 13th place. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. These crash compilation videos, you guys definitely seem to love them, and I'm sure there will be more in the future. If you like what you saw today, subscribe to the channel for more great motorsports related content just like this, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you really enjoyed this one. I hope to see you all in my next one. Take care, everybody.